Dr. Swami to launch the book written by Major General Bakshi. A very interesting book, I presume. So hopefully we'll get to read it soon after today's launch. It's Thunder Dragon, the COVID Strike. So with this, published by KW Publishers Private Limited, you can actually get the link for the book. We will put it up in the scroll in the bottom. Plus, you could also go to General Bakshi's Twitter handle, and the information is also right there. So you can go ahead and buy the book from there. So over to General Bakshi, and let's start the program. And then between Dr. Swami and General Bakshi, you can have a discussion later.
Thank you so much. I am really, truly grateful to Dr. Subramanian Swamy for launching this book and for being a political leader with the courage to call out China, where it needs to be called out for the larger safety and security of mankind. As I said earlier, the COVID pandemic has been a black swan event, the like of which we haven't seen in the last 100 years. 172 million people infected globally, 4 billion global citizens dead, $2 trillion loss to the global economy, a hit harder than the Great Depression, which led to the Second World War. So will this hit lead to a Third World War? I think that remains to be seen. You know, the initial theory was that it is just a natural epidemic, zoonotic, has come from the Wuhan wet market. That theory has now been found to be full of holes. Unfortunately, in the highly polarized atmosphere of the presidential elections in the United States, this was given great credence. And if you dare to write anything against it on Facebook, on Twitter, your account was, stopped, banned. I was banned once for 1 day, then for 3 days, etc. There was a dominant narrative to somehow let China off the hook. Now, after the elections are over, the dust has settled down. A lot of Freedom of Information Act questions, very, very hard questions have been asked. And the knowledge that is tumbling out is what was available at that time, but was not allowed to be really, understood by the people or reach out to the people of United States and the world. Now, Dr. Fauci has been taken over the coal. He has been grilled. The very eminent scientists like Nicholas Wade have written in the Atomic Bulletin of Scientists, the top scientific journal. A British microbiologist and a Norwegian microbiologist have said this just can't be a natural virus. In the hook molecule of the SARS protein, which has been attached to the backbone of the bat coronavirus in the laboratory by Major General Sheng Li of the People's Liberation Army of China, that has 4 positively charged amino acids. Even a child in high school, he knows that positive charges repel. You can't have 1 or 2 positive charges together. They will repel. To put them together, you need to have, put some energy from outside. Here, there are not 4 positively charged amino, 1 positively charged amino acid. There are 4. It is not, repeat, not natural. I'm not saying this. The scientists are saying.
Okay.
Now, the fact of the issue is,
sorry, Mr. Major General. So, so when we can go ahead and launch the book and then further the discussion, would that work?
Yeah, absolutely. May I now request Dr. Subramanian Swamy, my mentor, my guide and philosopher, to kindly launch this book. Sir.
Well, you please put up the book for the audience to see. Yes, that's right. I don't have it in such a magnified way. I was fascinated reading this book because it's not a book on a factual expose. It is a novel in which the names of the actors is such that you can identify them with the real world, and it's about a matter which is exercising the whole world. And the detailed way that General Bakshi has outlined the whole development makes me say that Bakshi ji should perhaps try and persuade the Bollywood to make a film out of this. It's so fascinating. Um, in the end, General Bakshi concludes by putting essentially the blame on the PLA, who was executed by the political authorities in the end. And so his thesis appears to be, of course, the Wuhan Institute of Virology was actually a PLA managed institute. And his argument is that it is PLA which has taken the initiative and taken it forward as a bioweapon. And then in the end, the political authorities intervened. Correct me if I'm wrong at any stage when your turn comes as the author, as to and put it in a proper perspective. And I got the impression. Now the thing is that first of all, as General Bakshi said, people said it is some mall or shop of vegetables and bats and so many things. It came out of that, and then the issue became, well, it may have escaped from the laboratory. But the more important revelation of Dr. Bakshi through this novel is that it is actually a gain. What was it? What they what is gain of function? Gain of function, where you mutate or you add 2-3 things to make it something that is not in natural formation but a laboratory formation. Now 165 million people have been affected by coronavirus pandemic, and this is perhaps the biggest ever. Millions have died, and even in India, where the reporting has come under some controversy, still 400,000 is the number in India who have passed away because of this pandemic. So it's something catastrophic, and to get to the bottom of it is very important. Now there are two or three things which has made some people shy to get to the bottom of it. One is that the research was partly participated by the United States. It's a military research division, and even India had played host to the Wuhan Institute of Virology to carry out experiments on bats in Nagaland. And it was surprising because I'm a member of the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Parliamentary Standing Committee on Health, and I was shocked to find that this experiment, which originally came as a news item in Hindu, and then I followed it up in the committee and got all the facts. It was actually done by Tata Institute of Fundamental Research, which is a part of the Atomic Energy Commission. And it has Tata Institute of Fundamental Research has a body which is on virology, which is in Bangalore. And the head of that has become, about a year ago or 2 years ago, the principal scientific advisor to the Prime Minister. Therefore, one would have expected that this kind of a project would have had the requisite permission of all foreign investment, because the Wuhan Institute had given money for organizing this. But it turns out that it was without any proper permission. And so, since I raised it in the parliamentary party standing committee, it was referred to by the committee and through the health ministry, and ultimately a large investigating committee was set up with all prominent secretaries and the cabinet secretary, and a report was found that yes, there has been lapses in allowing this project to take place in India. But I think there are too many bigwigs involved, and they didn't want to give any punishment. I don't know what our committee, when it meets again, will like to do about it. But there is a report, and it has been conveyed to me that the report has found that they have not followed the procedure for accepting this Wuhan Institute of Virology to do research in Nagaland. And Nagaland is a protected area. We don't easily allow foreigners. And to do it without any permission shows a kind of hubris which needs to be punished. But anyway, India, United States, and China have been involved. And that's why there's been a bit of shyness in the United States in the beginning to say that this was actually part of the laboratory experiment. Now, what has happened is now it is accepted that it came out of the Wuhan Institute of Virology as a gain in function experiment which went out of control. Was it leaked? Was it something that happened by an accident? But it was because of that laboratory that happened, and because China is not a democratic country, so they held back the information for quite some time, and then by the time it came, it had already begun to spread. So I think my first point would be that General Bakshi should be congratulated. He's written a novel, so I mean, it's not an indictment of anybody, but it's a novel which he is very well adept in making out a novel like this, because he has been part of that where they do alternative scenarios in all strategic situations, strategic institutions, of which General Bakshi was a part, in fact headed it. There is always what they call as gaming. You put out certain hypotheses and sees where it leads to, so that you are prepared for all kinds of contingencies when the actual war takes place. So it was something of that. I mean, he is obviously not going to say that whatever I have said in the book is actually applies to China. What he is saying is that this is is a scenario which has to be answered, and then in that he doesn't hold towards the end, which I would like him to address this when he speaks on this matter. In the end, it is really basically he has found the PLA squarely responsible. Now, I would like to say this, that we have now we are not in we are in an adversarial position with China because of what they have done in Ladakh. Ladakh was part of a mutually agreed territory of India. When the line of control was drawn, even though Aksai Chin is a part of India, we said since it's disputed for the time being, till we come to a border settlement, Aksai Chin will be part of a China-controlled area, and Ladakh will be part of India. And despite that it was mutually agreed in 1993, China had come in and occupied parts of our territory across the line of control, and we are in a warlike situation. Whether we have taken it to that level yet or not is not there, but China has reinforced itself. It's now very strong position. Pakistan with China, now Taliban, Afghanistan will also be with China. They have already welcomed China as a true friend who can be relied on. The recent statement, I think yesterday's statement of the Taliban. So India in a sense is surrounded, and on top of that, China many people say, have demonstrated the shutdown in electricity in one night in Bombay, and so it is cyber warfare. There's so many other factors which make us have to be alert. So this kind of a book which makes you aware of what China is capable of, not necessarily what China has done, but certainly General Bakshi's this point is valid. It's not something that happened in some food market or something. It happened in a laboratory, and in a laboratory it was done. This gain in function of creating a situation, creating a virus in laboratory conditions, which gets tremendous capability, including being able to spread from human to human, which otherwise without the gain in function couldn't do. So all these things he has brought together, and the world has also swung in the same direction to which General Doctor also General Bakshi had written about, and he has been saying this for a long time. In the beginning, I think the Americans were embarrassed that their research assistance money, which went into this, would come out and will embarrass them. So there was a lot of hesitancy, but now it has come, and as General has just pointed out, Fauci, who was their main man to fight the corona virus as a pandemic, is now under heavy fire in the United States for having funded and financed this project. So there are many things that are coming out, and General Bakshi has been ahead of everybody in this to say that this could be something which the PLA wanted to do, to create a bio weapon, which would have been a very devastating weapon. And by an accident, it became known much earlier. And so now the world has become wise, and we'll have to take steps to see that bio warfare, which is banned, and China is also a signatory of that. But despite that, they have, perhaps the Chinese, in an earlier occasion, I think General Bakshi has mentioned it, had a feeling that they were set up on it by the Americans, and so they are worried that they may be subject to this attack, and therefore they are producing this as a kind of a defense. So it's a richly complicated issue in which General Bakshi has brought it out, and I would say you have to read this book to know the nuances, because there's no place I have read anywhere, whether it's Bulletin of Atomic Scientists or Lancet or Nature, many of these journals, they're full of jargon, but the simplistic way he's put across complicated concepts for us to understand, and therefore I was happy to come to release this book, and I thank General Bakshi for inviting me to do so. Now, what my comments are my comments, but General Bakshi is the one who wrote the book, so the authentic version of what the book says has to come from him.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for those very kind words of encouragement. Sir, I have been writing a lot of non-fiction, very serious tomes, but I found the readership for them was very limited. So therefore, we have tried to adopt the Tom Clancy model. You do wargaming, but then you put across that wargame finding in the form of a fictive scenario, which, as you very rightly hinted, our Bollywood, if it has half the commercial sense, should take it on and go global. Should take it on and go global. So we are able to spread the narratives that we feel are right, and the general public gets educated in a format which is not very dull, boring, or too academic, or too heavy for the normal reader. So you'll find a lot of fact, a lot of research has been put into this, but it has deliberately been put it out in fictive format, in the Tom Clancy format. And the aim and the hope is that Bollywood and our Netflix platforms, etc., OTT platforms will pick it up and spread this narrative, spread the narrative, increase awareness. The point is, sir, in India alone, 3 crore people have been infected. Over 3 lakh, 3.2 lakhs, in fact, have died. Have died. This is more than all the casualties we have suffered in all the wars since independence, as also the terrorist violence of 30 years, which is about 80,000 people killed. And in all the wars, we have about between 25 to 30,000 killed. This supersedes that um, horrific toll. So the point is, what are you going to do about it? If you go by our normal political reaction, grin and bear it, no, sir. We need political leaders of courage like you to now speak out and say, this is the truth. We can't allow the People's Liberation Army of China to get away with it. Because if you do, they will give you more of the same. They have about 1,200 viruses, dangerous pathogens, stored in that Wuhan Institute of Virology. And do you know, sir, the most horrifying fact? They have opened an Institute of Virology in Pakistan under the DSTO, which is the equivalent of our DRDO. That means it is not under the civilian. It is under the Pakistan military, sir. So what China has done to us, tomorrow Pakistan will do. Because it is an easy, no-cost way. You can't prove it, so you can do nothing. You can just grin and bear it. Sir, look at the loss to our economy. For almost 2 years, our children haven't been able to go to school. My grandchildren spend their whole day on that damn computer screen. What a price we have been made to pay.
No.
The Chinese can't fight a straightforward war because they know the beating they got in Galwan. They know that they have princeling soldiers, one-child families, spoilt brats who are not willing to fight. They come for 4 years conscription. They want to go back in one piece. Their mom and dad want them back home. These guys will not fight. So is this the way China chooses to wage war? In this book, I have highlighted how this whole program is owned and run by the PLA. The Wuhan Institute of Virology, sir, is run by 2 Major Generals, Major General Shi Zhengli and Major General Cao Wei. Shi Zhengli is the bat woman. She is an expert on bat coronavirus. He has been doing research. In 2012, sir, there were 6 Chinese, men who were sent to the copper mines in Yunnan, disused copper mine full of bats. They were sent to clean it up, and they came up with a pneumonia-like fever. And when the X-rays were taken, they had the lung patches which we now find in Corona, in COVID-19. Straight away, 2013, Shi Zhengli sent her team. They collected 280 bat corona samples from these bats. Now they found that though these people who had directly gone and taken done the cleaning operation of the bat pieces in that cave, they fell sick, but it was not transmissible from human to human. The only 6 people got infected in Yunnan, no more. But in 2015, sir, a very surprising thing happened. Zhu Dezong is an Air Force virologist of the People's Liberation Army Air Force. He collected a team of 18 top microbiologists and he wrote a series of papers on biological warfare. These were, sir, presented to Xi Jinping and the top Central Military Commission in China. 24 briefings they gave, Dr. Swami. 24 briefings. You can imagine how important the Chinese top leadership found these talks on biological warfare. And you know what they said? They said China has been the victim of biological warfare. The SARS virus was deliberately, manufactured in a laboratory and unleashed on China. So, sir, in the Chinese thinking, right or wrong, They feel they have been the victims of biological warfare, ergo sum. China is justified in hitting back. Look at the mindset in China. And then they talked about how recent advances in biological warfare, you can freeze dry pathogens, you can put them, spray them on, you know, cold foods, on these, meat, which is freeze dried. You can take it to the target country, aerosolize it in a restaurant, aerosolize it in a bathroom, go to the Dharavi slums, aerosolize that and spread that aerosol, and you've done it. You will destroy the medical support structure of that country, like ours almost came to collapse a few 2 months back. Almost came to collapse. The psychological impact, the impact on your economy. You have brought a country to its knees, sir, without firing a shot. And now, sir, this is not just theory. If you read the Chinese official military doctrine, which is called the Science of Military Strategy, the 2017 edition had a new chapter on biological warfare, war with biological characteristics, weaponizing the virus. How can a country which signs the Biological Warfare Convention banning biological warfare have it in its official military doctrine? A whole chapter on how to wage biological war. The world should have woken up and protested. We kept quiet. And then, the Americans had then been cooperating. Because, sir, the DARPA, the Defense Advanced Project Research Agency, they had been given the task of preempting nature, preempting enemy. That means if the nature can produce such a virus, you try and do it in the lab so that you can, in advance, study this virus, this dangerous pathogen, and you can develop vaccines, antigens, and antidotes, etc. So this was the aim of this research. 2014 to 2017, Obama banned this research because they said gain of function research is highly dangerous. If it leaks out of the lab, this Frankenstein virus, you would have brought disaster on yourself. So Fauci very cleverly had this outsourced to third world countries. It was banned in USA, but outsourced to third world countries like China, like Vietnam, and a few others. Right, sir? And in this way, they continued with this research. Peter Daszak, the man who wrote that article was one of the signatories of the article in Lancet, was the man who runs a NGO called Eco Health Alliance.
That's right.
And he was funded to the tune of $3.4 billion by Dr. Fauci to spread this research out in third countries and carry on, even though it had been banned in the United States. And by 2017, when their own labs they were sure were foolproof, they restarted this research because they're just trying to keep ahead of nature. They're trying to keep ahead of their enemies. But the Chinese, sir, 2018, an American team went to the Wuhan Institute of Virology and they said, this is terrible. I mean, their systems are defunct. It can easily leak out from there. The Chinese banned any further American teams from coming to Wuhan to do their Institute of Virology. Now, the fact that has come out by intelligence agencies, sir, and there is one Chinese defector, a vice minister of the State Security Bureau, who reached United States in the month of February. He has come out with a treasure trove of what Chinese intelligence has been doing in the United States, how many people they have purchased in the academia, in the CIA, in the Pentagon, FBI. They have deep pockets. They are prepared to spend money. They are stealing American secrets. It is highly dangerous. And you will find that the Biden administration has changed its entire tenor and tone after this defector has reached the United States. The DIA is now taking him through the coal. This is dangerous. This is highly dangerous. We are living in an era of biological war. So China does it to, why should China do it to itself? Because China is ready. They had this virus ready in 2015. They have already devised their vaccines, their, sir, in January 2020, the Wuhan Institute of Virology filed a use patent for remdesivir, the
Right.
most popular medicines for COVID. How do you file a use patent in January 2020? Their first patient was discovered as per the China, 8th of December 2019. Less than a month or just barely a month, you file a use patent. When you file a use patent for a medicine, at least 3 to 4 months you should have tested it. That means they had tested it. And the second fact is, sir, right now we have two theories: natural epidemic, accidental release. I am, sir, adding a third theory: staged accident. And before somebody finds it very far-fetched, let me remind you, sir, World War II started with two staged accidents, so-called. The Germans dressed their troops in Polish uniform, attacked their own post at Dresden. And then they started the war against Poland. As to why have you done? The Japanese, when they started the invasion of China, they had their own troops in Chinese uniform, attacked their posts at Mukden. We've all heard of the Mukden incident. Sorry. So the Chinese, were attacked by the Japanese, in Mukden to start the war by a staged accident. So when you are ready with your antidote, when you are ready with your medicine, you deliberately stage an accident in Wuhan. You stage an accident in Wuhan, and you deploy the PLA to contain the damage in Wuhan. The virus does not go strict lockdown. No virus goes to Shanghai, 800 kilometers, Beijing, 1000 kilometers. But from December 8th till March, you keep 25 flights a day going to New York from Wuhan, 20 flights a day from Wuhan to Europe, to Italy, to India, to Japan. You spread it. You send infected people all over the world. What is this if not deliberate biological warfare, sir? How can we allow this China to get away? And now my last final argument, my last and final argument, 8th of December, the first patient zero in Wuhan. This is what the Chinese have said. Though there are reports that in November and possibly earlier, 3 workers in the Wuhan Institute of Virology had fallen sick with symptoms remarkably similar to the COVID-19. Remarkably similar. But 8th of December 2019, you say, is patient zero in Wuhan. 28th of December, sir, the Chinese aircraft carriers sail out towards Taiwan, towards South China Sea, in a major show of military muscle. Then they go to East China Sea to threaten Japan. They go to threaten Vietnam, Indonesia, Philippines, and a whole lot of these Southeast Asian countries.
Dr. Swami, we seem to have lost the Major General Bakshi, so he should be joining us back soon.
Well, maybe like last time also in our program, he went off and couldn't come back. Ramesh?
Does a country which is facing a major pandemic go around trying to attack every country on its borders? Japan, Taiwan, Southeast Asian countries, and then in March, April, India. You only do that if you are trying to exploit a biological Pearl Harbor. You weakened your opponents and now you are trying to pressurize them. Possibly they thought if the going was good, they could have taken Taiwan. But the Americans pushed back. 4 aircraft carrier battle groups entered the South China Sea, Taiwan Straits. French and Japanese and other carrier battle groups entered that place. And China got the shock of its life that it had not been able to weaken people to an extent that it could overawe them. Even India, despite the COVID first wave, was able to push back hard. Then they gave us a second wave. My question is, sir, why are mutations taking place in India, in UK, in countries hostile to Japan, in countries hostile to China? Why has the mutation not taken place in China itself? That is where it started. Why has it not happened in Pakistan? Why has it not happened in Bangladesh, Nepal, Sri Lanka? Why only India? Because somebody comes to Dharavi with frozen meat and lets it go. And we pay a price by getting onto our these economies. Sir, somebody has to stop China. Somebody has to find the courage to say this is what they have done. The circumstantial evidence is overwhelming. And I'm sure the intelligence agencies in the United States have a lot more information up their sleeve. But Joe Biden has given 90 days for his intelligence agencies to come to the truth. He's given them only 2 options: natural, accidental release. I think they might as well study a third option. And I would request, sir, that you sensitize the political leadership on this very grave danger. If we don't stop them, we will be the victim of repeated biological strikes. China will get us to our knees without fighting a war. I'm sure, sir, with your courage, you will be able to take the message to our political dispatch. Thank you very much, sir, for this honor. It is a privilege to have my book released by such a great intellectual and a man of action. Thank you, sir. Jai Bharat, Jai Hind.
Thank you, Jai.
Thank you, Dr. Swamy. Thank you, Major General Bakshi. So we're not able to get your video, but thank you for making this happen. Still getting on. Thank you, Dr. Swamy. Dear viewers, so we come to the program. So we'll see you. Jagdish ji has joined. Oh, okay. So we have Major General Bakshi. So Major General Bakshi, thank you for making this happen. We're glad that we have this program today. So viewers, we will see you on Sunday in our regular Words of Wisdom program. Thank you.